All right. Hello, everybody. How you guys all doing? I hope you're doing well. Just want to say thanks to everybody who sent me good energy and good vibrations, because it all helped out. It puts you back in alignment. It's good to know that people are out there thinking about you, holding space for you. And, one of those things is, just never know how you're going to respond to the energy that's given to you. So I'm here to talk about, because remember, this is the Mind of Iggy, so this is about what rolls around in my head and what I'm thinking about. It doesn't mean necessarily right or wrong. It's just how I'm feeling in the moment. And tomorrow, I can be totally on the other side of the fence about it too, with clarification and with information. But regardless, I'm coming from places of experience, from an entrepreneurial point of view, from a person who's been self-employed and who has had businesses, and a person who has had to kind of fend for themselves in some degree, because that's what you do. So most of you don't know that I grew up very poor, very, 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 very poor, because the immigrant life, when you come to this country, is about struggle some of the times, depending on your situation and their circumstances. That's what makes a person while they drive. My parents came here with very little money. They left everything in Peru. My dad came here, and he was a dreamer. He was a person who had ideas. And my mom, she was a dreamer, but she attached and she latched herself onto my father's dream of finding the American dream. The American dream is real. The American dream is true. You may not agree with me. You may not believe me, because you have your own reasons why. My reasons why I believe it exists is because it's the potential. It's the desire, the drive to do more than what you were. Now, these things were instilled in me. So it's not like I just grew up one day and say, oh, well, I'm just going to be this or that. But, I had one job my entire life, and I worked for a pharmaceutical company here in Columbus. And that lasted about a year. Of course, I went back to working with my parents for a little bit as I developed and created my own landscaping and lawn care business with my brother-in-law at the time. But anyhow, back to the beginning. The beginning is very simple. We had nothing. My father was mugged and jumped when he got here. His stuff got robbed. And, he ended up, calling a great uncle, because that's the number he had in his pocket. And he got on the Greyhound, and he, ended up in Columbus. And his destination was actually to move to San Diego at some point, and that never happened, which is kind of funny because my daughter lives in San Diego with my grandkids and my son-in-law. But those are the stories that they told me, regardless of what they may have told anybody else in their family. Circumstances change, things change. So the reason for this live, and the reason I'm talking about this, is because people who have a job have a different mentality. Now, and some people are designed for jobs, okay? Some people are designed to work for other people, and they're happy as can be. There's no struggles. There's no qualms about it. Yeah, they would like more money. You only get paid is according to how much they can make off you, basically, or how much you can produce for them. So there's limitations there. But when you're self-employed, it's a whole different game. When you're an entrepreneur, that's a whole different game. When you start getting to the big monies, you're not self-employed anymore. There's a difference. A self-employed person I'm self-employed. I like controlling my hours, controlling my destiny, but I'm never necessarily going to hit that plateau where it puts me in a situation where, it's going to make me like ultra rich. But it does make my life comfortable, being able to control how I live and how I work and how I manage. Now, was it easy? No. I've had many businesses fail. My God, when I was 14, I had an ice cream business. I would push an ice cream cart up and down the street, up and down High Street, park myself on the corner where Long's bookstore used to be at OSU, and I would sell ice cream all day. All my friends are all playing. I'm out there selling ice cream and soda pop. And, and then if I still had stuff left over, I took it to Tuttle Park, parked myself around the pool, sold it to all the kids who were coming and going, from the pool. And if I didn't sell anything, I had to push that cart all the way up Tompkins Street or up Hudson Street back to Garcia's. But that's what I liked. And before that, when the blizzard of 78, I actually went out and shoveled snow. My parents couldn't go to work. But I brought home so much money during that blizzard time, shoveling snow, because I was having fun and I was enjoying it. See, that's the key right there. I was having fun and I was enjoying it. And me and my little brother, I'd take him out sometimes. He'd come with me, or my sister would come with me. And, they would get kind of cold, so we couldn't stay out too long. So I kind of like told them to stay home, and I just went on my own. But I'd be out for hours. But it was okay. It was a different time. It was one of those things that you just did. Now, did I play as a kid? Sure. And as I got older, I was very curious about being self-employed entrepreneur. I had a travel agency for many years, and called Infinity Travel. I would sell travel. At that time, you made money because you get good commissions, and then the airline structures changed, and it affected everything how you got paid. So it wasn't very viable for me to stay in it. Then from there, I had a property management company called CSS Garcia's. I would do parking lots downtown. I would do different buildings and maintenances and different work for that. But it was hard work. It was one of those things that, and then partnerships and ideas, and it didn't work out. And then I ended up back at Garcia's. I ended up back in my family business. And then, I ended up doing the work that I do for a while, running restaurants. Because you're good at the things you know how to do, even though you really want to do it. That was my dad's dream. That was my mom's dream. But I remember my dad in his ice cream truck, when he used to collect newspapers and metal. After he'd work at Kroger's or go to school, whatever, he bought this van, and we'd go drive around, and we'd just pick up newspaper and metal, and we'd cash it. And, that was our story. I remember we were those kids who were, didn't have everything. But, eventually my dad converted that van, that step van, he converted it into an ice cream truck. Some of you have seen my picture of that. There's an ice cream truck of ours called Garcia's Ice Cream, and my dad would cut the carton and stick them on the truck, and I put on the windows and stuff, and he'd ring the bell. He'd pick us up from school, and the school had to tell him to park down the street so the kids wouldn't go crazy. It was a good time. But that business ended because I'll make the story real short. And that business ended because my dad would go to neighborhoods that nobody wanted to go to. His philosophy was, those people had money too, and he was right. They had expendable money. They had money. So he'd go into the neighborhood, the middle class, lower poor neighborhoods, and he did well. He did amazing. He made bankroll. He did good for the time. And it was fun sitting doing our homework inside the truck. But then one day, a little boy comes up to the window, and he puts his money down, supposedly. But nobody notices that the wind blows the money underneath the truck. And the little boy is crying because my dad's like, well, you didn't pay. How are you not going to get anything? And he's mad and screaming. And then this guy comes out, and he pulls a gun on my dad. Where's the guy's ice cream? I kid you not, this is a true story. And my dad's like, hey, hold on. And then my mom pulls out the shotgun, and she's like, back off. And my mom, my quiet mom, and she's like pointing at this guy. And this is ice cream war here. And the little kid goes, oh, I found the money. It blew under the truck. It was kind of one of those deals. And the guy's like, oh, I'm so sorry. It was kind of funny because my dad was like, oh, yeah, don't worry about it. He still took the kids' money. It was just funny. It was scary, but funny. And then I remember on one route, we went into some neighborhood, and the police pulled us over. And because my dad would sell shots of tequila and whiskey in the truck to the adults as the kids were buying ice cream. This is my dad, okay? Now you understand why he has a restaurant and why he had a bar. And so he'd walk in, they walk into the truck, and they look, and my dad had all these licenses on the walls, and because you had to have licenses, and the police were like, I guess you can sell it. It was a different time. Things were so unregulated back then, and that's kind of what I'm kind of getting at here. Things were so unregulated, and then I guess it's people like my dad that cause regulation, because people are like, well, you shouldn't be selling ice cream and whiskey, on ice cream truck. But that's part of our story. That's part of our immigrant story that you kind of read or you watch in a movie. Kind of the things that you get to. I lived these kind of experiences that were kind of cool. And then my dad sat us on the bed one day, and he goes, what do you guys want to do? You want to continue selling ice cream? Because he was about to buy all these ice cream carts, and place them like in Peru, like they would sell, and people just driving around these bikes with ice cream compartment things on them. And then my mom was a cosmetologist at the time. She had studied cosmetology. So the three choices were ice cream business, okay, cosmetology, or a restaurant. Of course, everybody voted. Of course, I voted for the ice cream business because it wasn't, it was fun, I don't think anybody voted for the cosmetology, but everybody voted for the restaurant except for me. I didn't vote. No. But that's how we got in the restaurant business. That's how Garcia's became Garcia's, because he sat the family down, and from that point on, for 40 years, that's what we did. That's how we grew up. That's where we were. That's how Garcia's developed. That's how it was. It was pretty fascinating story. There's a whole lot to that story. Oh my God, I could write a book about my life, with the Garcia family and all that stuff. But it's amazing. So my point of all this, which I kind of went off on a tangent, is, I always notice, and this is just an observation, I could be wrong. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But a majority of the time, a lot of people who don't have the money situation that flows in their way sometimes really take it out on the people who have it. For example, like billionaires. Let's just go straight to the billionaires. Fuck it. Let's just go there. Billionaires make their money because, who knows, through wealth of family, corruption, you just name it. They made it. And that's how they got it, And that's where a lot of these guys, a lot of these ultra millionaires, but there are people who are wealthier than these billionaires that I'm talking about. There are people who we don't see. People that we have no clue who they are. We think we know who they are. But they're so mysterious we don't see them. So my point is this. I hear people saying all the time that if we took all the billionaires' money and we spread it out through the world, that it would solve a lot of problems. Possibly yes, possibly not. The true story fact is that even if they took all the money from all these people, they know how to get it back, because that's what they do. The true story is, are we able to process and control that kind of money in our hands? Are we able, the common person who's never done that before, we can't even save $1,000 in our pocket because we don't have the capacity or the ability, or we have the programming of it. So a lot of us run through life with this programming of why we're broke. And then we start to blame other people for why we're broke. And we start blaming situations why we're broke. We start to, play these games with our mental state and our spirit and our heart about why we have lack mentality. Now, wealth doesn't have to always be money. So don't get confused here when I talk about this issue, because this issue is more about what can you do to help yourself get where you want to be. Now, if you're comfortable living how you're living, and you're living paycheck to paycheck or whatever, and that's good for you, then, that's awesome. I'm not here to tell you that you have to change, but I'm talking to those people who really want to change their life, who really want to work and change it and do something better. I'm going to tell you right now, you have to do the work. And when I say do the work, you have to do the work all the time. You are never absent from what you are. Kind of like myself right now. I'm learning to navigate new business program with serenity. I'm learning to understand that it's not going to be like the bar. It's not going to be like my holistic business. I have to approach it completely different. And it's a new thing I have to learn. And I'm learning now. And I'm starting to get into that groove. I'm starting to get it. But anything that I do, there are factors that, they may play into why it doesn't succeed. But the majority of the factors why things don't succeed is because, I'm pointing at you, Iggy, to myself, is because we're not doing the things that we need to do sometimes. Now, sometimes we need to ask for help, and we don't ask for help. Sometimes we need to ask for advice, and we don't ask for advice. Sometimes we want to be self-made, but you know what? Sometimes being self-made is also inviting other people to teach you, to show you. Most of these people who are rich, and most of these people who are billionaires and millionaires, they didn't just get there by accident. There was always a mentor. There was always somebody there There was always something they were reading. There was always something that they were in tune to. There was always something that they sacrificed. Is Sacrificing is a big part of business, owning your business. Sometimes when everybody else is out partying and having a good time, you can't. I remember being in the restaurant. How many times I wanted to go and do something with my friends, and and I couldn't because I had to work, and that's okay because that was my choice. I wanted to work. I wanted to feed my family. I wanted to produce a product. But there was another part of me that also longed to be out there. But I could have been out there if I would have programmed the system that I was in to make that happen. I was working from old programming, my father's programming, that you had to be in there every single day, every single moment. And if you're not there, but that's the self-employed person. That's the person who it likes being there every minute. But the entrepreneur is someone who knows how to create, who is able to move that energy and work the energy and step. You have to be able to step away and it runs and you can back in. And so, I know a lot of people are really fearful about stuff, about, billionaires, acquiring businesses, acquiring Twitter, acquiring this, acquiring that. But that's what they do. That's their life. That's their business. That's what people like that do. It's nothing new. It's only affects us because we feel like it affects us. We feel like it's we're part of it. But you know what? All these people, like Elon Musk, he bought Twitter, right? And the people who are so afraid that he's going to totally change it. But see, there we go. Change is good. Change is what we need. Is he a good person? I don't know the guy personally, so I can't give you my judgment only from what the media tells me and from my observation of his behavior, what he does and what he talks about. Now, supposedly he's autistic, so he has a higher level of thinking, higher level of processing that can't even relate to. But you know what he is? He's a dreamer. And I'm not here just talking about Elon. I'm talking about a lot of people they have dreams, they have visions. And they're willing to crash and burn with these visions. They're willing to if it goes down and it's no longer, they just come back up. The normal human being like you and me, if we put so much effort and time into something, if it burns and crashes, it can devastate our total emotional structure of who we are. Oh, I failed. Oh, my God. It's because you have to learn to get back up on your feet. If you fall down, get up, man. And I know it's easy to say that, but truthfully, all of us here are exactly where we are because of the choices and the decisions we've made for ourselves and for other people that we have allowed influence our life and decide for it. And then circumstances we can't control. These are true stories. You may agree or disagree with me. That's fine. But the blame game that somebody else screwed you up or whatever, even if somebody screwed you and took advantage of you, you either get up or move away or start up again. You can't stay in that energy and hold yourself down. A good business person can't stay there long. I've closed so many businesses because it's just you have to. Financially, you just have to. There's just you come to these points where you're like, well, I think I gave it all I could give. And circumstances, I need to move and take this money, move it into another project. See, I'm kind of like that. I'll move things into different projects. Now, there's certain projects that I like, and I'll dump a little more money into them than others. But that's what you do. That's what business people do. My whole life has been structured how I wanted to live. So a lot of you are like, oh, what does Iggy do for a living? Well, Iggy has created his own life, the way he wants to live. Iggy did maintenance. There's a lot of things that you guys don't know how I do. I'll go work projects and jobs and stuff on the side. You don't see that stuff because you only know me from the drum circles and the shamanic healing sessions that I have with you, whatever. But you have to be Moscow, which is fly. You have to be on the ball and take advantage of situations, take advantage of opportunities when they're handed to you. And, they come and go. They're not always there. But when they do come, yeah. But here's the thing. If you want change, the change start with you. Now, you can lay out all the circumstances, what holds you back, and you can look at that and reflect on it and do whatever you need to do. But you know what? And then you can, kind of elaborate what direction you want to move. Remember, you always have to include and you have to talk to the people closest to you. What I see a lot about business is people who are in business, sometimes they don't consult like their loved ones, like their spouse or significant other or their children, because all these plays in effect how productive your business model is going to be. Even though you want to do it and you want to create it and you want it to be well, your business model is going to be affected by the people who are around you. And a lot of times the people, when you ask them, well, how do you think and how do you feel about it? They're not qualified to answer your question. They're not qualified to give you an opinion. They can only drag from the resources in their brain of the experiences they know or the observations they see of other businesses. Too many people have killed their dreams or desires because they ask people about it. What do you think if I did this? What do you think if I made an electric car? Do you think that would sell? Oh, dude, no, that won't sell, man. They got gas cars, man. Did you hear what happened to that guy who made the water car? They found him dead in Grove City, That's where he was from. The guy who invented the water-powered car. I knew that guy. I met that guy at the restaurant one time. True story. Not lying there. I can validate that one. But the cool thing about it is dreams are important. People discount dreams constantly. People, oh, you're a dreamer. What else? What do you do when you go to bed? You dream. Sometimes they're nightmares, yes. But a lot of times they're places that you wish you were at. You can fly a plane in your dreams. You can get in the cockpit of a plane and fly it in your dreams. Can you get in a cockpit of in this reality and fly it? Probably not. But those are the things. Those are the desires and dreams. But in a dream or state of mind, you're flying planes. You're building houses. You're creating. You're manifesting. So this is what I'm trying to get at, Don't poo-hoo everybody who's making more than you. If you're content with your job, then you're content. Now, can ultra-rich people help the world? I believe they can. Do they help the world? I believe they do to some extent. But if I came to your house and I said, hey, you need to give blah, blah, blah amount of money every month. Well, actually, they do that already. It's called taxes and mortgages and electric bill, gas bill. Yeah, they take that. So you feel the pinch, man. When you have to pay those bills, when you have to pay those things because somebody's offering a service, and you have contracted to pay the bill or the services, and the bill comes due. But we don't complain, right? But yeah, these are the same people. Those are the wealthy people who have control. Kind of like the gas prices, right? They went up because the wealthy people knew they could charge you for it. And they did. And they'll keep charging you that until we complain, until we cause a fuss. But if we don't cause a fuss, nothing will change. I hate to say it. And I'm in this group too. There's nothing I can do. But we're cattle, man. We are no different than the slaughterhouse cattle down the street. Iggy, how can you say that? Well, we walk into a store. It doesn't matter which store. Kroger's, Myers, Walmart. It doesn't matter. Giant Eagle. You get little gas points. But they get your money anyways. And we walk into this corral of foods. Vegetables, hams, boxed cereals, And it's the trough. It's the cattle trough. And you think you have choices. And you think you have decisions. And then if you want to buy really good stuff, like what do you call it, certified organic, which everything's organic, but it's certified by the government, which you trust dearly. Anyhow. And then you're buying this stuff. But we don't have any choice, right? We don't have any choice because this is what our ancestors, this is what we decided is going to be the norm. This is our cattle trough. We're going to walk into the store and purchase whatever we need to purchase. Unless you go to the farmer directly and buy your milk, buy your butter, buy your vegetables and stuff, then your story is a little different because you're a farmer at that point. You know where it's coming from. Now, farms are disappearing here in this country very quickly. So we are cattle. We are live breeding cattle. And what do we produce? We go to work, we pay our bills, we pay our taxes, and we give back to the government. They build the roads. It's just a circle. It just goes round and round. It never ends. And you know what? And I'm reading some of these questions. Someone said it quadrupled in 22. Of course it did. What do you think was going to happen? They threw a war there. Russia and Ukraine got invaded. And you know what? All of a sudden, these oil companies go, ooh, yeah, and they sold you on the bill of goods. They said, well, we got to charge you $4 a gallon. And you know what? If it was $8 right now, you'd pay for it. Or you'd put at least $4 in the tank. Every single one of you, if gasoline was $12 right now, you'd still buy it. You would still buy it. Maybe not fill your tank up, but you'd still buy it. Why? Because we're dependent on fossil fuels. As much as you don't want to be. As much as, I'll ride a bike. Okay, fine, ride your bike. Well, it comes a time where you got to go somewhere significant where you have to drive a car. I'll buy an electric car. I'll use my cell phone, blah, blah, blah. Everything has a consequence. Everything in this planet is affected by other things. So batteries, where do they come from? Batteries come from the ground. They come from the Mother Earth. Strip mining, boom, let's take the cobalt out of there. Let's get some slaves working in it. Let's just pay people 10 cents on the dollar, if that. This is what fascinates me about everything in the world, that we will look the other way temporarily just to get what we need. We need electric cars, we need windmills, we need solar panels, blah, blah, blah. But the production of all these things are just as hard and harsh on the environment. Yes, we will need to shift out of that because our dependence on petroleum. I don't know how much the reserves are going to last. I don't know how much it goes. But you know what? It will eventually, everything has a limitation. Everything has an end. So us cattle, yes, we are cattle. Hate to break that to you. Now, you can be any kind of cattle you want. You can be a sheep. You can be a cow. You can be a pig. You can be chicken. You can be squirrel. I don't care. But the point is, we are cattle. We are dependent on things. When you look around, how many people have a garden? Like, look, my garden back here. Not to brag on my garden, but that's going to be all different types of medicinal mints and herbs and stuff growing. I don't have to touch it. Why? Because I learned permaculture. I learned a system of growing things. Every year that garden grows. I don't have to touch it. I just watch it grow, and then I have to harvest it, or it goes back to the ground. But it doesn't matter. I can walk away. I can fall asleep. I can die, and this garden will grow for as long as, it's there. In nature, we see gardening growth. We're coming to a crisis point, and this is my point of my story. We're coming to a crisis point where 25% of the things that we import from Ukraine, for example, is going to affect the economy, the global economy. Now, some of you may agree with me, some of you may disagree with me, you may not see the impact. Some of you will be willing to pay, and you will pay, and some of you will not. 50% of us, boom, will pay, and 50% of us are going to learn how to grow things, or we're going to learn how to steal it from somebody else. We're getting to that point. And I'm not like to be a doomsayer or, cause a problem, but Ukraine didn't grow any crops this year. And they're 25% of exportation and importation of food, of wheats, different grains. Now, as one of my teachers, Cloud Piler and Jonathan, told me, in Rwanda, they had a 4%, what they call a calorie count, 4%, where they had a famine and drought and stuff, and millions died at 4%. Now, we're talking about 25%. How's that going to affect the world? Preparation and getting yourself ready is important. So they were on my show the other day, on my live feed. I know some of you listened to it and some of you didn't, but I highly recommend you listen to those shows. Why? Because these are people who are in the know. These are people who are connected. These are permaculturists like myself. They see the forecast. They know what can happen if things don't change. And the next thing is fermentation. We've lost We've lost so much connection to how to do things in our world, how to connect with Mother Earth, how to grow things, how to can things, how to process things, how to ferment things, how to create or making our own stuff. Now, some of you are really good at this because I know some of you do it. But the point is, what are you going to do? What part will you play in your survival on this planet? Can't blame Elon Musk. You can't blame Bill Gates, Donald Trump, and all the people that you want to blame for the problems. They're only a handful of why we're here, because we're only talking about people that we know, in the know, and people that we want to, shaft it on. But there's players that we don't even know, we don't see, we have no idea who they are. So take advantage and grab hold of learning a new trade, a new design, a new desire to do something different. Please, I'm telling you, please, because I see it too and I can feel it. Am I being fearful? No, I'm being cautious and aware. And I don't want the fear to take over. But fear can play a big part in how we either move through. Now, Cloud Power was talking about how this next generation of kids, not the millennial kids, but the kids of the millennial are going to be really, it's going to be the generation that suffers dearly. And you know what? In America, we never thought we'd see something like this. We had like the Dust Bowl and stuff like that, things that affected our country. But we're going to see a crisis. Probably won't be around to see it. I'll probably be an old man. But that generation is going to have a struggle. They're going to, from their struggle and from the, just the destructive waste and this mismanagement and use of stuff from our generation, from, the baby boomers and the Gen Xers and the millennials and all the other ones in between, our dysfunction and how we are using stuff. I'll give the millennials a credit. They're a little more on the ball about moving things, but they're not always proactive about it. Now, the baby boomers, they're all about the baby boomers. They really weren't really about the future. We got a baby boomer president, and I don't know what he's doing, but we don't want to get into politics on that level. But the generation after that generation will be strong, will be different. America will be a completely different animal. It will be better, because you know what? Because you have to come out of it. You'll come out of it. You'll grow. The astrologers, I'm sure I have a lot of astrologer friends, can probably forecast and see this change and these effects and how it's going to play out. So if you know how to do things, do it. Don't wait. Grow those potatoes, grow those turnips, grow those onions, because you can store that for the winter. You can use that. You can eat that through the winter. Now, we won't feel the effects like right now, but going into the next year, we will definitely feel it. Because there's already been forecasting that we're going to be in this country, we're going to be selling things to people who Ukraine used to sell to. So that means the products that we would usually buy are going to be scarcer. Because it's money. Because they don't care about you. They don't care. They only care about the red line, They want to be, right there where they're making their money. Not in the red. They want to be in the black. It's all about profits and margins. This is not about humanity. It's not about humans. When these people make money, it's because they're trying to sustain their lives. Oh, but Iggy, they're bad. No, they're not bad. They have it in their court. They own the court right now. We don't own the court because we gave them the court. If you're following me in the whole show, the reason these people are ultra rich is because we gave them the court. We gave them the opportunities to do what they're going to do. When the country got bailed out, was the worst thing we did. It was better to see Ford Motor Company collapse and die, because I guarantee you something better would have came from that. Something much more powerful would have came from that. Other ideas would have came from that. Sometimes when your kid needs money and, you want to help them, you can cripple them sometimes when you keep handing them $1 here and there all the time. Because the day you're not there, Who are they going to reach out to? What are they going to go to? They're going to go to another person or a system that's going to sustain them. We have to teach our kids to be strong, independent, and how to grow, how to work through this process. Our kids, our grandkids right now are in dire need. We're borrowing their land. We're borrowing their air. We're borrowing their water. Everything is on loan to us for their future. And we're totally destroying it, totally taking advantage of it. The future is going to be affected by our decisions in the present moment and what we do. So what are we going to do? What are you going to do? What can you do? What would you like to do? How would you like to see it happen? So many questions, so many answers, but so many idle points too, because a lot of us won't do anything. A lot of us would just assume that everything's going to be okay. Iggy's just crazy. He don't know what he's talking about. Well, I'm 55 years old, and I've seen a lot of things, and I've seen a lot of changes in the world. As much as some people who've been around 20 years, you've seen changes and stuff in your lives. But, 20, 30, 40, 50s, you start to learn. You start to see the patterns. You start to see the things. So guys, I just hope that you align yourselves with the people, learn gardening skills, learn how to capture water, learn how to capture solar, learn how to do all the things that our ancestors did. Because they don't want you to do that. They don't want you to go back to that old system. They don't want you to learn that. They don't want you to be any part of that. Because that means if you can take care of yourself, then you're not dependent on them. And the problem is our dependency on the system in order to survive is big right now. It's bigger than us. Every single one of us who are here right now are connected to this phone. Every single one of us who are listening right now, watching here, are glued in because you know me, you trust me, and you're believing me. But even I'm using this phone is in order to connection. What they didn't know, we talked about it in my friend Elsa's class, was they wanted to use it as a manipulation, but it ended up coming where it connected people also. It became a place where you met people you've never met ever. People you would never ever met. People you never would have ever had an engagement with or talked to. So that's the beautiful thing about technology. That's the beautiful side of it, is that a lot of you who are here, I have met many of you, many of you, because of this platform, because of somebody else's dream, someone else's desires and growth. On the same token, it has its downsides. But on the upside, it has positive sides, because here we are talking and communicating and sharing ideas about what it means to be human, what it means to work together and survive. And we're going to have to work and survive together. It's not all fun and play. We're going to have to get out, get our hands dirty again, and get back and reconnect to Mother Earth. Pachamama will always be here. The Earth Mother will always be here. She will always adapt. She will always adjust. Can we adjust? Can we adapt? Will we be able to live when it gets really hot and when the waters are receding, when Florida has shrunk just because all the water that's melting at the polar ice caps? It's like ice cubes, right? You have enough ice cubes in the glass, when they melt, it rises, because after that point, where does it go? Because it's concentrated and frozen. So it's really fascinating. So is global warming real? Global cooling is too. Because as the ice caps melt, it also gets cold. And this is, do your research. Check it out. How the Ice Age became the Ice Age. You're talking about 2 miles of snow. Do you know what 2 miles of snow is? Look it up. 2 miles from the ground up. It dwarfs any building that we have. Interesting. All right, guys. I hope you got something out of this Mind of Iggy. Because here I'm just thinking about what I think about, But I try to make something happen after I think about it. That's where our goal and our key is. All right, I love you guys dearly. You guys take care of yourselves. Be well. Have a great, powerful weekend. Whatever you're doing, enjoy. I'm going to be in Florida from the 3rd to the 11th. Susie and I are taking off. We're going to go hang out down there and meet up with friends and family. I'll just kind of get away, for a moment. And I'll catch up with everybody in the drum circles, in the drum routes, and we'll all connect again. All right. Peace and love, guys. Take care. I'll see you soon. Matakuyasan ho'oponopono. It's good to be here. What is above is below. And with that, Ivisikwi and aho. Take care. Bye-bye.